Hello, this is my channel. Today we'll be discussing my review on the Oculus Quest. Should you buy it? Already bought it? Just want to hear my thoughts about it? Okay, let's begin. Let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro. The Oculus Quest is wireless, one of the first actual wireless headsets. It gives you a full 360 degrees of motion. I haven't had a problem with it yet too much. It's great for beginners. I was new to VR. I've only tried the PSVR at other friends' houses, but in my opinion, this is one of the best VR headsets for beginners. Easy setup, guides you through everything. The tutorial is amazing. It shows you all the mechanics and stuff, and even has 2 mini games like a tutorial would. One of the main reasons this is my go-to VR headset is because it does not require a PC. You do not need a high-end PC, a low-end PC, any PC of any kind. It's all in one, all in the headset. Now, let's talk about the cons. One of the main cons is it's new. So, it's not beta, it's not alpha, but it's still pretty new, meaning you're gonna find some glitches. I know I did when I first started. First of all, the Guardian, or you have to set the proximity. That can get a little confusing in the beginning because you have to draw the shape of the area and set the floor. Make sure you're kind of careful of that. It doesn't have to be a rectangle or perfect circle. It can be almost any shape. Like even you could draw with it if you wanted to. Kind of difficult though. Now the amount of light in the room does affect the sensors. So too little light and the tracking's a little bit off. And one of the main things you want to watch out for is if you're in a room with windows and you're like, hey, I don't want to turn on the lights. Well, remember, the sun goes up and it comes down. So as it gets darker and it gets later, time passes by, the headset might just randomly take you out of virtual reality to tell you that the light's not balanced well in your room. But that's a pretty common thing. Just turn on the lights. If you have any lights of any kind, it can work. It can work in really dim rooms, but I would recommend just turning on the lights fully for the best experience. Another con is the games. So the Oculus Store, I think, started out with about 50 games, with new games being added in the future. Like, I know Swords of the Gargantua Wizards came out June 6th, and there's more like Fuji and that other one that I forgot. That is one thing you have to take into consideration, that this is new, and the Oculus Store is a closed store. It's not like Steam where you have such a wide selection from third-party games. It's either from Facebook or Facebook's choosing. It has to go through Facebook. That is one thing you have to consider. Like with the Valve Index coming up, it's not going to be like that where you have a major selection, but the selection you do have is all around. You have games like Beat Saber, which is pretty popular, but a lot of complaints on the Oculus Quest. I'll talk about that later. If you're getting the Oculus Quest mainly for Beat Saber, I wouldn't recommend it because it's slightly more expensive because you have to buy like these DLC songs and stuff. I would recommend getting another VR headset if you want to just play Beat Saber. But they have a ton of awesome Oculus original games like Journey to the Gods, Vader and Immortal, the Star Wars one, National Geographic, where they partnered, Robo Recall, all Oculus originals, even though Robo Recall wasn't made for the Quest, which is pretty cool. They work really well because they're made for the Oculus. And you have some pretty popular games that work, in my opinion, really good on the Oculus Quest, like Super Hot, with the 360 degrees of freedom and no wire holding you down. You can definitely have some fun. Now, some concerns I have been hearing is about the battery life. What's it like? Well, in my opinion, I haven't had too much trouble with battery life. Some people say it like lasts from 2 to 3 hours. Some outrageous claims saying 8 to 9. It really just depends what game you're playing and how much you use it. I haven't had too many problems with the battery. I think I've gone down to 10%, but I would just plug it in and do something else. And if you really want to go non-stop playing, well, you can just plug it in. They give you a pretty long wire, like I would say 3 to 5 feet. And I know it's wireless, but you can charge while you play. one thing I do note is there is a fan in the thing for cooling, of course, and you don't hear the fan that much, especially with music playing. But when you turn off the headset, you can hear the fan slightly. It's just really cool how they conceal it. And yeah, that's my main pros and cons reviews. Now, some personal notes. Like I mentioned before, there are glitches, some with audio, some with streaming, especially. I tried to stream the Oculus Quest on my phone, and that just doesn't work. It says headset not found, and then I tried it on a Chrome device, and it showed Oculus for a second on the TV before suddenly stopping. Now, I highly recommend this to beginners in comparison to other VR headsets, because when you compare it to other VR headsets, this is slightly cheaper. I believe the Valve Index is going to be around $1,000. The Oculus Quest 64 gigabytes is $400, while the 128 gigabytes is $500. Which even 500, that's a big difference from the 1,000. But then again, you know, Valve, Steam, all that. If you want performance, I will say very well performance. All the games that are handpicked by Facebook, of course, are going to work well. I'm not sure about resolution. Games have different resolution. But if you want to still stick with Oculus and have high performance games and beautiful graphics, I would recommend the Oculus Rift S. I do not personally own one, but that is supposed to be the beefed up version of the Oculus Quest. You don't have to drill sensors in your house, I believe. It's has the sensors on the headset, but it is wired, so that's another thing. And you do need a strong PC that can contain all the power of the Rift S, to say. Basically, I recommend the Oculus Quest if you're new to VR or you just want something to go with to travel because it doesn't require a PC. Definitely recommend it. I had a good time with it, good experience, and that's it. Please subscribe because I am new to this YouTube thing. Thank you for your time. Any questions, comment down below and I'll try to answer if I can.